The Flyin Lion says,
boys, hell is real.
2023 Supporter Shield champs.
So glad that I can be back with people who know that it's a Flyin Lion.
It shows how much we all love this club.
Yeah, just a fan of the sport, you know.
It's definitely tougher to be an academy player than it is a pro.
In this club, you don't play just for the club, you play for the fight.
Jersey swap, car of the week, trivia question of the week. Welcome back, everyone, to the 99th episode of the Flyin Lion Podcast. Sam, you're joining me tonight. We are 1 week away from 100. Happy to be sharing that one with you guys next week.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we're super stoked. Like Ryan said, one away. So we've got a lot of big things planned that we'll touch on here at the end of the episode. But Ryan, this week, I mean, got some decent results in some decent places. Obviously, first week that we had two matches, right? So we're going to be talking about how the squad kind of fared doing that. I mean, hey, I'll touch on it right now. We're healthy, right? That's news.
As of 8:11 p.m. on a Monday night when we are recording. Who knows when, guys show up to training tomorrow. We're always kind of interested.
The last MLS injury report. Nothing.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. But yeah, like Sam mentioned, 4-point week, two matches. First time we had two matches in the week for MLS play. We had CONCA champions that we were kind of navigating through early on in the season. We're kind of in the meat and bones of the season now, Sam. So we had Toronto game away, straight into a Columbus Hell is Real. So we'll recap both of those first part of the episode. We got another trivia question for you guys. And then second part, we're going to get into some interesting news with some jersey swaps, cards, FCC 2 doing heck is plausible. Another player extended for FC Cincinnati. So we'll kind of get into all of that in the second part. And then preview another Atlanta United match, another road game, Sam, as well. So, but match day 13, we played Toronto away in front of not a great crowd in Toronto. There's I think a big protest going on with their supporters. You didn't see really any of the supporters in their section. They're pretty upset, and rightfully so. But in this one, Sam, we got a 1-0 win. Overall, that took us to 9-1-3. We'll kind of real quickly go over this one. But I think the interesting stat going into it was that Pat Noonan, as soon as he took charge of FC Cincinnati, he said, we're not going to lose in Toronto. They haven't lost in 6 games, or I guess, 6 of the 7 they won. The other one,
so they haven't lost in 7. Yeah,
pretty
coming
impressive.
Into this one. Yeah.
So lineup-wise, a little bit of a rotation. I think both of us agreed, and I think Pat Noonan even commented and said, we hate having this midweek game before Hell is Real. So we had to see a little bit of this rotation. What did you see in this lineup?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, slightly rotated. It's good to see, I think, for us, right? Dotto gets the start. We talked about it a lot during the podcast. Very impressive match against Austin. So good to see that. And then, for me, another big one is Engel. You don't see Engel get the start, and he actually makes his first bench appearance in the MLS this season. He had actually started every MLS game so far. I believe him, Roman, and somebody else, I think, have started all MLS games.
Did Miles miss one, I think?
Yeah, Miles has missed some. Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe just Roman and him.
Yeah. So that was interesting. But what did you see from the starting lineup?
Yeah, good shout. I mean, you had Orishano and Miazga not available. Orishano, obviously picking up a knock, and then Miazga, we weren't sure what that looked like with his hamstring. Obi was on the bench, so at least had some depth there. But yeah, you always want to get a positive result, especially against a team lower on in the standings. It's still a strong lineup. We're so, I would say, heavy. Even in our bench and our subs, we have so many options. I mean, you have Kai Kamara that can be available late on in the match as well. So I was happy to see, at least we get the win. It wasn't the prettiest, and I think we'll kind of walk you through that. But Denkey's goal, Sam, let's talk about it. Just unbelievable solo play by him. Yedlin plays the ball down the line. Denkey takes on, I think, 3 guys, does the unnecessary, step over to the left foot, draws it back to the right like he's going to shoot it, cuts it back on the left, whips it upper 90. Unbelievable. Somebody commented on our post and said, does this man even have a weak foot? I don't think he has a weak part of his game. Okay, maybe passing. His passing is not the greatest sometimes. But Denkey just unbelievable in some of these solo moments. Shout out to him. I mean, another game-winning goal for him. 5 on the year now, I believe.
Yeah. Five or six.
5
maybe?
or 6. I mean,
Yeah, 5 or
already.
6 game-winning goals, which crazy. Watching this, Ryan, it was one of those times where, in my opinion, I don't think we've seen this out of Denkey, where he has been able to take defenders, 1v1 and really showcase his dribbling skills in this solo goal. And so
you see it in the box, like in quick
you see
touches.
it absolutely.
But sustained dribbling, great point. You hadn't seen him take on a few guys like
from
that.
outside the 18, being able to snake in like that. And to be honest with you, for a half second, you're going, gosh dang, like he runs into, people, but he finds a way and just perfectly upper 90. It was a beautiful finish.
I mean, I don't know how many guys in the MLS could honestly do that from the striker position.
Quick feet too.
I think like
ridiculous.
Brenner was the last time on FCC we had seen a striker be able to like take on people and create space for a shot like that. But yeah, unbelievable goal. He gets the runner-up nod for the, I guess, goal of the match day, which is kind of ridiculous that he lost out to the St. Louis City guy. I mean, let's be honest, they don't have much going for them. So that goal
it was a decent goal. It was a curling shot by him. Like it was
the only thing they
fine.
have good going for them. Yeah. And I think that was like they just put all their eggs in one basket. They're clearly not focusing, on the soccer side of things. But yeah, so we go up 1-0. We're on the road. We're feeling pretty good again. First half lead, Sam. I think that's huge, especially with
absolutely.
a little bit of rotation. You had some other chances that half, I think, between a Robinson header that goes off the bar, a Flores header off a corner, or a set piece, I should say. Yeah. We had a lot of dangerous chances, and I think that's where the frustration lies is like, this team has more. You know that we can get more out of this, but then
just got to finish.
Well, you see this Toronto team on the weekend take down Montreal, I think like 5-1 or something like that. So, I mean, a win's a win. Like, again, like you take each game by itself. Now, the way you go about doing it, the style points of it, let's say, like there could be improvement in that, but you had chances. We go into the second half, same thing. Like, I think the biggest thing that you wanted to do, honestly, was like come out of it clean so that you're good for hell is real. Like you touched on the injury part. But what about the yellow cards? What if Denkey gets a card and he's out for hell is real? I mean, that would be classic.
Yeah, because we had even touched on last podcast. Do you just take him out 45th minute, or do you put him on the bench? And then if say like you said, we go up with two goals, right? Does he need to come in? Right? Can he rest a little bit? But yeah, I mean, this second half was a little bit of the same, right? We had multiple chances, just weren't able to convert, and I feel like. Yeah. Toronto really didn't have, maybe they had like 1 or 2, right? But not even that, right?
Well, they had one save that Roman had to make in the first half that was decent. But yeah, besides that, I mean, you have Bernadeschi, you have Insigne, like they have some high profile, but like it's not sustainable. And it just never felt threatening, like at any point. I never really felt like worried that anything was going to happen compared to the, 360 of the game that we had on Saturday. But yeah, you come out of it, if we look at it, still undefeated under Pat Noonan against Toronto, a win on the road again, which put us at that point, I think, at the most road wins for any MLS side, I believe, as well. But that improved us to 8-1 this season in 1-goal games. That's like the Pat Noonan like stamp, is like 1-goal wins.
One goal. That's all we need.
Yeah. Dado made his 50th appearance, Sam, for the club, which was nice. But like you said, awesome to see him kind of build and get the start. He didn't, ultimately get a goal or assist or anything in this one. But I think to gain in confidence and say, let's reward this kid. I was a little bit disappointed. We'll get to it, with Hell is Real, that he didn't make an appearance in that one after, the sustained buildup. That was disappointing. But Kai Kamara, Sam, I think you had made a good comment about this, so I'm going to let you share it. But we do see his debut.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Kai Kamara makes his debut, comes in, and becomes the oldest player in an MLS match for FC Cincinnati. I know, I think when we first signed him, we were like, is he the oldest? Like, we were talking about like, well, Harris Majunian, he was really old when we got him. And if it's saying anything, I think Harris is 30, 37, maybe he's 40 right now, like just now turning 40.
Just now, right?
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, and it is, I think Harris was 37 when he played for us. So, yeah, I think it's pretty crazy. We got a 40-year-old player on our team, and he's rocking number 85 in an homage to Mr. Ocho Cinco himself, Chad Johnson. And he actually talked about it a little bit, them playing in Sporting KC together when Chad was trying soccer out. He actually became friends with Kai Kamara, and now that he's in the Queen City, he's got to pay a little homage to the Queen City wide receiver as well.
Yeah, I mean, his post says it's my honor to honor you in this city. Like,
I love
so cool.
In the carousel too. He's got photos of Ocho Cinco as well in there, so I thought that was cool.
Yeah. I mean, Kai gets it. I think that's pretty cool. It's his 20th MLS season, or professional season, I should
12th
say.
club, right?
12th club for MLS. Yeah, 20th professional overall, because he did play overseas a little bit as well. But yeah, it was cool to see him come in ultimately, in this one. Didn't really have a huge impact. Hell's Real didn't have a huge impact, but
you can see the way he comes on. He's
comes
immediately
in hard. I mean,
right?
And he's winning balls in the air. We saw that in the crew match as well. So, yeah, I think we'll at some point do a little bit of a deeper dive as we see a larger sample size of what Kai has to bring. But the intensity, to come in, like we said, to aerial battles, hold up play, whatever it is, like that was there. It's such a shame, Sam. We get through this match and it's Thursday and we're like, oh, that's right. It is Hell is Real week. Like it's sad. The buildup is like there kind of, but it's like, but we have to play this game first. And that's a disappointment. I hate that. But we go in, we roll into Saturday, Hell is Real Part 1 for 2025. A ton of buildup. I mean, I would say if we kind of go and look at it, the buildup for this one is bigger than I remember in the past because of where these two teams sit.
Yeah, 100%.
There's always going to be this rivalry, but, Columbus being, or the Cleveland Crew, if you want to call them, being right behind us in the standings, it adds to that. And to see that, recently both teams have gotten trophies, both coaches, in the limelight, both teams with bigger names as well. I mean, that's always going to be there, I feel like, in this rivalry. But it was ranked number 1 as the top rivalry in MLS by a lot of the pundits around the league. So that's kind of cool to see as well. Going into it, Sam, second highest combined winning percentage by a pair of head coaches, in a minimum of 100 games each for them. So Noonan and Nancy, what a combined battle there. But winning records between the two at .629. So I mean, you're winning a lot of games if you're with either coach, which is awesome to see. But yeah, like I mentioned, with that Toronto win, we had led the league in road wins with 4, and going into Columbus is tough. I think Columbus, Cleveland, whichever way you want to look at it, like I think like they hadn't lost. I know we beat them last year there. They hadn't really, 5? I think I saw the stat. It was like 5 losses or something in like 3 years.
Yeah.
Only a handful of ties. And that's just them like looking like we are, like supporting our club, right?
Yeah, Fortress.
Yeah. And, I love the banter, but like our fans showed up for this one too. And we were in full voice, full march, everything. I think the build up too with Nance's comments was kind of adding to it. So I let you kind of tell me on this one what your thoughts are. I'll give you mine, but go ahead.
Yeah. So Nance's comments pre-match. Nance wasn't really happy with a reporter that called his team underdogs ahead of the derby, and he quoted as saying, "You don't know me. We will never be an underdog. Never in my life. I hate this word because, again, I respect myself too much to be an underdog. So I'm going to say it politely. We will never be an underdog. My team will never be an underdog. We can play Real Madrid. We could play Detroit. We could play Cincinnati. We will never be an underdog." That is the outlier of the statement there. The fact that the Columbus or Cleveland Crew could play Real Madrid and they would still not be an underdog. I get the mentality. Right? I get it. But at times you want to embrace the underdog. At times, I would argue, especially when teams are counting you out.
Hey, let them think whatever they want to think. That's my opinion. We're going to come in and play our game, like I said. Like, we're going to come in and play Smash Mouth. That's the kind of hope that I had going into it, was like, you play your game. Don't worry about what anyone else is doing.
Yeah.
Like, so in a very similar way, just said differently, like, I don't know if that's him trying to motivate his players. You know, you see comments about Pat talking about like how it is a big deal and like we need to, if we're calling it like a derby week or rivalry week, like respect it as such.
Yeah.
So I think both were kind of on the same page about that. The graphics, Sam, that we see in the numbering on the jerseys is awesome.
Really cool.
Real time. Like I thought it was going to distract from the numbers, but
you thought we weren't going to see it as well.
Yeah. Well, and they zoomed in, like you could actually make it out. Again, I would love to buy these and support the local artists, which would be still cool if I think they're doing some different like donations
They should.
and stuff.
Yeah.
But to like get more numbers of this or to even see it more sustainable for other matches would be cool.
Mm-hmm.
The lineup, I think, if you really looked at the Hell is Real series, and said like, man, we haven't really had a full squad for these matches in the past. Like you got your full squad this one.
Got it.
You had Roman, you had Engel, Robinson, Miazgas, in the middle, Hagelin, Orishano on the right. We got him at wing back. We had Obi start. He hadn't been playing, I think, since March was like the last time, like late March was the last time. Pavel Buka, we had Evander, Santos, and Denkey. So any thoughts on what you saw formation-wise, guys in different spots, Obi coming back, like any initial thoughts?
Yeah, I do want to say, I mean, it's nice to see Obi, get the start. We saw him on the bench the last match, and so seeing him be able to take that leap and start, especially, after, was it before or after the match we get the news?
Oh, it was before. He got it
before. Yeah, so before the match, right? We'll touch on it later, but before the match, we received news of his extension. So it was nice to see that he also gets the start, and we were able to celebrate him that way. But also he's a force, right? And if we're gonna need somebody, we need somebody like this during the crew game to be able to break up their midfield attack. But I will say, Ryan, the interesting thing that you and I had seen was that Corey Baird left off of the team sheet. Just too many forwards in front of him right now.
Yeah, I mean, he's got to fight for his minutes. And, if you have Kamara there, you have Dado there, you have options. And, you can only allow so many people to travel. So I don't know if that's a message or if that's just, hey, we ran out of spots. But, yeah, there's people ahead of him in that team sheet. So it's good competition. That's what you want. You want people that are hungry, that can come in and make a difference. For me, seeing Orishano back and fully healthy and in that wing back spot, he looks a little bit more comfortable there, and it adds more to that right side of the field. I think I had even said it before, is just, you had been losing that a little bit with Yedlin. So especially in this one, more sustainable attack, I think, is what I was hoping out of this. And seeing the lineup, like, I'm not going to lie, my initial reaction was Obi hadn't played in a month. Like, that's a little bit worrisome, especially a team that's going to be more ball dominant. So how is he going to respond? The coaching staff must have trusted, like, hey, we've talked to him and he's ready to go. And he
especially a game like this, right? Like,
it's a big one, and he's going to get hyped up. I think they all should understand the moment, and the guys that have played in it before need to tell the other ones the importance. And I think they could all feel that, because you see in the first 6 minutes, like, we were gunning. We look good, and we get an early goal, which, is what you want on the road, especially against your rival. Unbelievable run by Orishano. I'll give him props for it. He takes on like 3 guys, somehow cuts it back to a cross that was decent. I wouldn't say it was a great cross. But it leads to an opportunity where Santos goes up with the keeper. I think that it's unfortunate that Schulte is like trying to yell for a foul, because it's clearly a 50-50 ball, and it bounces up. Evander tries to shoot it on the bicycle. The bike goes over to Denkey to tap in, and we're up, man. I mean, just unbelievable vibes for a rivalry game, just seeing going up. 8 goals now, for him in MLS play, and 10 in all competitions.
That was a pass, and it. He meant it.
I think
that was a pass, and it. Evander meant it. He's got eyes on the back of his head. Ryan, he's insane.
Yeah, sure. let's say that. Sure. Yeah, absolutely. It was awesome. I mean, that's what you want. And that's what you can see between
if
the
that
two
was a
of them.
pass, all right, let's just call it a pass. All right. Was that better than his assist to Dotto? Or what would you say has been like his best
Oh,
assist? 'Cause he's only had 3. I think that was his only third assist.
Yeah. No, I think the Dado one is great because it's behind, the
Outside of the
defender
boot.
there, outside of the boot, in a tight, narrow space where the team is locked into their 18.
This is a bicycle
His
kick.
his bike is great. I get it, but it's not. That wasn't his goal. His goal was to shoot it, and it just fell to him. But that's what a pro does. You just put it in a dangerous position, and what do you want, Sam? You want your goal scorers in front of the net that can put them in. Doesn't matter how it happens. You put it in, and that's
First
been
time.
Denkey.
First time we see Evander and Denkey right there.
Connect. They got that connection, and then they go over to the corner and kind of stand together.
I love that. I love that photo.
Do you think that's a kind of a shame? I don't think anyone's pointed this out, but the crew logo, I think, was them holding their arms like that. So I don't think that's what it was. It was more hands on the hips.
It was, yeah. It was
so I don't
hands on
think there's
hips.
I don't think there's anything in that. There's no animosity in that one. It's more of we're just going to celebrate in front of their fans, which was awesome. But yeah, you hear from the Bailey, the sha-la-la-las were just immaculate on the broadcast. But the rest of the half, we kind of slip off. And it's hard to play a team that wants to be so ball dominant. And there's certain ways to do that. We'll get into that conversation. By half, it ended up being, I think, about a 60-40 spread on possession. And you start to see what we did well in the first 20 minutes was just keeping the ball and honestly just creating better chances where you could string passes together, and it doesn't allow Columbus to kind of make you, sit in that low block. So that's where that shift changed. And I think, Roman keeps us in it with 2 huge saves as well, which kind of builds momentum. And I'm feeling pretty solid by half then.
Yeah, I'm feeling good that the half is over, and that we can kind of recoup. I know that first half we kind of went back and forth, and it was we had a couple chances. The rest of the half, you had
good shout.
a Buka shot on goal. You had the Denkey breakaway, which led to a kind of a weak shot by Santos, just because it just fell apart. But we did have chances, right? And we were able to kind of take on this counter-attacking form that we had to, because Ryan, like you said, Columbus is exactly like us. We want possession for most of the match.
They are it's another level.
That's what I'm saying.
It's another level. And then I think we don't love to hold the ball. Honestly, I don't really believe that.
I don't think the players do. I think Pat wants to, and it's more of the players are trying for Pat. Because you've seen in past teams, right, with FC Cincinnati, specifically probably 2022, when Pat first came on, you could see that that's the style of play that he wanted to do, because we would always call for let's get something going here. We're just passing it around the back. What's going on?
Well, I think he wants the build up.
I know.
Build out of the back,
yeah.
But we're not the team that's just going to be tiki taka like Barcelona used to do, where it's you try to break them down and just make it unsufferable. That's literally what non-say ball is every time we lose the ball, we press, we get it back, and we make it where we own the possession and we just go after them in waves of attack. And it comes from movement, and it comes from guys honestly just understanding that we're going to find space and we're going to pass and move. And it's exhausting when you play against that sort of run. If you ever played against those teams, your forwards are mismatched. They have so many guys in the back. You have so many forwards. And unless your press is so coordinated that you can kind of deal with that, you're going to be running around and you get exhausted.
Yeah.
So, I think their plan was to have Obi play a little bit longer, but we come out of half and, Obi's got to go off. And that's kind of what changed a little bit of what happened here. I know you like the sub for Kubo, but I don't. I think that was the wrong call. Obviously, it's easy to come back and say
I didn't like it.
Oh, well, at least you said what were your words were hopefully that helps us to build in
I was trying to be a little positive. I didn't like the move.
All right.
Yeah, I was like you, it was an interesting what? But I was like,
sure.
Hopefully we're just trying to push for another goal. That's what,
I don't know why I get shades of the Tigres match. We go up early, we look really good, and then the other team just shows quality in possession, and when it fell apart in Tigre, Sam, was when Buka came off and Kubo came on. What happened in this match? Obi came off, Kubo came on. I don't think that spot is sustainable next to Buka the way that it is. Like, we saw it against NYCFC. It didn't work. It did not work. So you need a Nunga in there to be more of a defensive six. Like, I get the fact that, like, maybe he's not going to keep the ball as much there, but, like, if they're going to come down your throat, like, you need a guy that understands, like, positioning and that can,
because
like,
you have a guy
that bulldog.
You have a guy in Kubo that scored 10 goals last year, and he
I
wants to push forward.
Yeah, and they eventually did. They did move him up, front in this match, so maybe they saw some value in that. But again, it's easy to look back on and to say, oh, that was the wrong call and whatever. But I've seen now enough to say, like, I don't know if that works. I'm not sure if that's the way, at least against teams that want to hold more of that possession. But yeah, we come over, I think, in a couple matches where after half, there's been some interesting plays. Like Austin match, they get a PK. This match, 49th minute, like, Roman
PK.
comes out to punch the ball and gets a lot of Gozdog's face. If you go and see the super slow-mo, he gets the ball first, slightly. That's why it wasn't a PK. He gets a little bit of the ball before he gets the face. And it's like in the middle, and they're always going to, I think, reward hopefully the keeper for that.
Yeah, protect the keeper a little bit.
Unless the ball is completely out of the way and he's punching the guy in the face, but it's right there. It's bang, bang. So luckily that doesn't, come into a PK situation, but 4 minutes later, unfortunately, Nick Hagglund gets put in a tough situation. He's locked up, one-on-one with Rossi, who tries to go outside the boot. It pops up. Nick is going to turn, to get his body in a position. And what do you do when you turn, Sam? You don't keep your arm down.
Yeah.
You move your arm to help position you. I've seen a lot of talk like, our guys don't know how to keep their arms down. Like, clearly teenagers is different. Like, he's making himself big.
Way different.
Hagglund is going to turn to shadow the guy.
Well, with Hadebe, his arm is like straight up in the air, whereas Hagglund's is like this. It's down, right? So you're moving almost like with your body.
It's more of a natural, like, position to it's so unlucky. And I wouldn't say, like, completely against the run, but somewhat against the run of, like, how the first half went.
Yeah, for sure.
Rossi puts it away, and it changes the whole momentum of the match.
Yeah.
I think they build in so much more confidence in knowing, like, oh shoot, like, it's tied, like, we can go for it now, and the subs that they made versus the subs that we make, like, that's, I think, part of the difference too. Like, Russell Rowe definitely looked a little bit more comfortable. Miazga had a great game, and unfortunately he had to come off, and Hadebe comes in and he's a little bit of a liability. Like, the ball goes through his legs once. I think Gazdag fumbles one in front of goal that he had a mistake on. Mm-hmm. You see a little bit more unfamiliarity with the back three without Miazga in there as well, but they hold force. I think they didn't give a goal up in that open play, which is huge against the Crew. Like, I'm going to give them huge props for that. But at some point, like, you can't sustain lines of people, passing it down your throat and constantly coming at your goal. Like, that's just not sustainable. So
I know, but you see Roman's able to kind of hold the line there. Yeah. I mean, like you said, the back line's a little iffy because later in the game Miazga has to come out, but Roman makes 3 saves in the second half and just continues his good form.
Right.
From the first half, right? Because he made 2 big saves in the first half.
Yeah. Yeah, he kept us in it. I think that's a huge point, and, like, I think the guys could build off of that. A lot of what I want to kind of, like, model this on, the match ends, 1-1, obviously. We get a tie out of it, and you feel you're never going to be mad, point on the road in a rivalry game, especially where you may be, I would say, second best in the night. Yeah. But we got through it, and there's something to learn from that. And what I texted you about, I believe, was, like, there's 50 minutes to build on. You don't build on those last, but I thought about it. Like, you should build on those. You should understand, like, what went wrong. And part of it was you got to be able to sustain possession. How do we keep the ball better to give our defense a break? And just kicking the ball and having Kamara, or Denkey go chase it and then lose it again. Like, you have to have better composure on the ball. I get like they're constantly coming down your throat, but like there's got to be some sort of change there and message that says like, look, when you have it, find that open player and move, pass, move, pass, move. And I think part of that is credit to them. Part of it is on us as well, because that way that they play and that like down your throat mentality, it drains you. Like
sure.
I really do think it does. And like it shows at what fitness capacity you have. And this is the second match of, 2 in the week. And so does that look different coming, just one? I don't know. But there were several guys that had breaks and should have been up for it. And I feel like they exploited Lucas Engel in this match. Like I full-heartedly believe they went down that side. And part of it was we just didn't get pressure on the ball out wide. That's when we had been bad in Tigres. They didn't step on the ball. They got all these crosses in and they were able to score. So that's something that I'm looking for the defense to hopefully learn from this match is how can we step out and get a little bit more pressure, on the ball in those situations. But I get it. They were gassed. They were just trying their best back there. But it's just not sustainable. And, is that another midfielder coming in instead of having 2 forwards maybe, that changes that to be able to keep the ball a little bit more. But you also want to have it up front. It's a balance. And I think at some point, don't you think in like 70th something minute, like I think Noonan had to say like my team they're just fighting for their lives. Like how do we just survive?
I think it was before that too. Like you said, literally just like right after the PK, it went downhill from there. But we're still second in the East. Still 9-2-3. Second in the Supporter Shield, actually still right behind Philly, I believe.
Just on goal differential.
Yeah, just on goal differential, we got the same points as them. So, actually, we get something huge in the broadcast. Actually says something about it too, which is nice. It's actually the fewest games that somebody's actually reached 10 goals in all competitions in the MLS era for FC Cincinnati. Kevin Denkey, only 17 games played, and he's got 10 goals. You would have thought that Evander would get to it, but Kevin Denkey with 2 goals in the past 2 games is able to solidify that. Evander's still one off, so he'll probably have the second fewest. But I think that's a really cool stat to have, as well as Ryan, some key stats from this game. Like you said, Columbus had 68% possession to Cincinnati's 32. The XG was 2.72 to 0.82, and then just passes, 568 passes by Columbus. Cincinnati had 229 touches in the box, 36 by Columbus, and they doubled Cincinnati's. So, I mean, like you said, just all in all, Cincinnati was fighting for their lives, had 32 clearances made during this game.
This is soccer, though. This is football. I mean, we could look at the same stats, and we could have won the game.
No, 100%.
And that's the thing is like,
absolutely,
that's nuts. Like I can be critical all I want, this and that, but like
it took a PK for them to beat us.
Yeah, for sure. And the defense, otherwise, like they kind of wave after wave stood firm. If you want to look at it and spin it that way. But again, the sustainability of it, that's where in those high level matches against the teams where you're really going to be put in that, that's when we're going to find out how good this team is. Yeah. And I don't think we've reached that, third gear yet. But you've had now Tigres match to figure that out. You've had this game to figure that out. Philly, we got smacked, like these are all learning moments. And how can we build on that? Like we've definitely outperformed some of the performances, that we've had. But that's the game, man. That's figuring it out. That's just guys going out there and trying their all, and somehow we've made it work. But like sustainability of that, are we going to be able to keep that up throughout the year? It's got to improve, and the chemistry's done that. It's just now, how do we again reach that next goal? And I think, Sam, I don't know if you would agree with this, but I think having guys kind of locked into where their roles are now that guys are healthy, we could kind of get a better understanding of like, this might be the best look that we have in terms of like lineup, but how can we now get the best out of this group in performance throughout the whole match? I would say a solid 35, 40 minutes, but you got to play 90 minutes, So is that Orishano at right wing back from now on? How do we sprinkle Yedlin into that equation? That's a coach conversation that they try to, I'm sure, have with these guys and say, you're going to get your time. How do you make the most of that now? And how do we fit Kamara into that? How do we fit Dotto into that too? Like I was saying earlier, I almost wish that we would have had him in there a little bit more. He would have possessed it maybe a little bit better in the midfield. It's just like, where though? Where do you fit that guy into that equation? Like, you're not going to sub out Evander probably, so that's what's tough.
Yeah, I completely agree. But like you said, this week we go win, we go draw. We've got 4 points. So you get a point on the road. That's fine. It's fine. Move on. And we go to another road match that we'll talk about later in the podcast. But Ryan, I've got a trivia of the week for you.
Yeah, trivia of the week presented by Goals TV. Let's hear it.
So Kevin Denkey became the 15th player in FC Cincinnati club history, USL and MLS, to score 10 goals for the club. Ryan, how many of those players were from the USL days of the 15? And can you name all of the USL players?
Man, 15 to score 10 all time.
All time.
And now we're asking just how many USL guys have had 10 goals. So I'm going to go with GB.
Okay.
Ledesma. Koenig. Corbin Bone. I feel like I'm missing someone here. And, oh man, early on, won MVP. Or MVP. Did he win MVP? No. The guy had our first half bike goal. Blanking on his name.
Are you gonna? Do you want some help?
Yeah, I just need help on that one person. That's it.
The very first. Are you talking about the very first goal in MLS history?
No, in USL. Yeah, at home. Yeah, Sean Akoli. Yeah. So that's where I'm gonna lock in. Akoli, Ledesma, Bone, Koenig, and GB. I think I'm gonna go with 5.
Okay, Ryan's going 5. We'll see. We'll see what it is on the other side. I don't know.
Hey, FC Cincinnati fans. We are pumped to share our 2025 sponsor, Peak Cocktails.
Oh, dude, Peak Cocktails. I absolutely love it. I am so excited to have them as a partner. Ryan, I am sipping right now on the Blood Orange Spritz. It is absolutely amazing. If you're that type of person that wants something subtle, right? Little ginger flavor, this is the one for you. A little bit of a recipe, promotes exercise recovery, enhances the relaxation a little bit. What are you sipping on over there?
Yeah, I got the passion fruit margarita. It kind of fits my dad bod life that I got going on right now. I'm trying to be a little bit more health conscious and have that lifestyle. But yeah, I could also sip it on the beach, which is nice about it. I mean, you can have that versatility. If you just want it as a nice sip, or if you want it as like a post-recovery drink, like this is what Peak is. I mean, we love it. We adore some. I've been following Peak for a couple of years now. But yeah, again, go check out Peak Cocktails. We love them. Next time you're looking for, like we said, any of what we had described, post-workout drink, just a little pick-me-up. If you're drinking on the beach there as the summer's coming up here, go check them out. www.peakcocktails.com and use the code Flyin Lion at your checkout, and you'll get 20% off your first order. Sam, enjoy that drink. Welcome back, everyone. Thanks again for joining us tonight, chatting on a 4-point week for FC Cincinnati, a win on the road, and then a tie in Hell is Real. But we're rolling along. Second part of the episode here, we got some news for you guys. We're happy to kind of share our jersey swaps here first with you, though, and who we thought were big performers for this week. Sam, who'd you have?
Yeah, jersey swap of the week for me is Kevin Denkey. Had a huge week, like I said, 5 goals in 6 matches now, Ryan. He's got 10 FC Cincinnati goals in 17 matches, which is just wild. He now leads the team in goals over Evander, 10-9 right now, in all competitions. So nice to see him finally excel individually, taking on players, like we said, but also working with Evander to create a goal there. He seems to be finding his rhythm a little bit more with this offense, and I mean, you see the one assist to goal combo. Maybe we'll see a little bit more soon.
Yeah, I mean, I've been so impressed with Kevin over the last month. There was, I think, some questions early on, and like, there's always going to be a little bit of a transition period, but this guy is all class on the field, off the field. I mean, up there for Golden Boot, first year in the league is impressive, number one. But to kind of fill this role where you understand the moment. And like Sam, I don't know if you saw this, but the guy, scores his bicycle kick and he's donating 150 bicycles to a local school in Cincinnati. I mean, such a class act, unbelievable guy, professional, and just works his butt off. I mean, you couldn't want anything more, especially being in this blue collar town. But I've never seen a work rate like this guy, and in understanding in the biggest of moments, like hell is real, like what it means to score and to kind of at the time get our team ahead. So I've been very impressed, and I look forward to more games with this guy as long as we have him, because I don't think we've had like the character, for a striker like this. Vasquez was the only other one, but on the field, off the field, just being a true professional and representing the club.
No, I know we've said that. We've said that from day one, right? Even like his comments, like in the press conference, we were like, "Whoa, like this doesn't sound like a number 9. Like he does not, your usual, big head type number 9." But
and he has confidence. He's got that oodles of confidence, and he knows
but
it's
subtle.
It's like
subtle.
He's like, I know my work is going to produce results. Is kind of what he's like. If I put it in, I'm gonna get like what I need to, and like, props for him, man. And I think that helps that like he's younger, but he's been able to have success in the past.
Absolutely.
Like I think that definitely helps to feel the way that he is. Like if he didn't have that Golden Boot year in Belgium, like maybe he doesn't feel the same way, but I mean, shoot, 8 goals, like where he's at now, like I think he'd be pretty happy with that. 10 in all comps.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Ryan, who's your jersey swap?
Yeah, I'm going to shout out Roman Celentano. I've shouted him out a few times this year. He's now 3rd in the MLS, Sam, with clean sheets with 5. He got that clean sheet in Toronto. But I think he had a great game in Hell is Real. If anybody understands the moment, it's going to be Roman. He had the save of the year a few years ago in Hell is Real. But he had a great one in the second half off of a close range header to keep us into it. And really kind of kept the vibes going by showing like, look, I'm going to stand on my head back here. Now you guys got to go do your part. But yeah, Roman gets the team of the match day, I believe, right, for this week. So
yeah,
huge for him, huge for the team. Outperformed another goalkeeper that was being looked at for U.S. men's national team. So don't want to get too far ahead of myself. I'm rocking the orange or the red, white, and blue tonight. But yeah, Roman's been playing great in the past, I would say, several games.
Yeah, absolutely. And you see him get a clean sheet this week as well. So he builds off of it and goes into the crew game and gives us the saves, right? So good to see Roman, like you said, continue to have those moments where we're like, yeah, I mean, he's one of the best goalkeepers in the MLS, without a doubt.
Yeah, he's kind of solidified it now. It's been secretly like here and there, like just feels like sometimes it's like, oh yeah, he is up there. But it's games like this or matches like this where,
it's if you know, you know. If you know, you know.
I can definitely see it. Yeah, that's really all I have to say about. I mean, Roman's just been great back there, and you just want to have that guy you can rely upon in the back. And I think both clubs had that, but you're seeing again more sustainable quality, with him this year. I think, in my opinion.
I agree 100%. But Ryan, we gotta take it down a notch. We gotta bring in the cards of the week here. My card of the week is going to be the Columbus Hell is Real Tifo / they actually tied Montreal earlier this week. But the Columbus Tifo has been met with mixed reviews, mostly negative from those in the MLS community, in their own community, of course, FC Cincinnati, just because we love the troll. But their Tifo was 7 seasons of dominance, as in 7 seasons of dominance since FC Cincinnati joined the MLS. Notice that they didn't, include the USL win that we had over them. But people are saying not much of a Hell is Real theme to it.
I wouldn't even know what that means. Like,
I know.
It's not even like there was nothing FC Cincinnati even in it.
I know. So there was discourse around the Crew fans that since they hired a new creative director, they didn't start this TIFO until early/mid-April. And there was no deputy assigned to the TIFO because I guess the director left the country for work. So the core group of volunteers kind of washed their hands with the, drama. And so all this happened. And I guess this design that you saw for the Hell is Real match was actually a backup design. And that's why it's incomplete. It actually tore in a bunch of places. So on top of the draw against the worst team in the East, it's 2 years in a row at home without a win against your rival. Just a tough week for the Crew.
Second tier, man. That's what I'm hearing. Tifos aren't good up north, I guess.
I guess, yeah.
Lacking some creativity up there.
Well, I guess, the rain, right? Tough rain comes and gets you. Tough winds come and get you. You can't put up banners, right? And now can't put up Tifos because people want to leave the country.
Yeah, maybe they would have been better off if they just had a sign that said, we had a better one, but our guy left.
Yeah, that's what happens when you dive deep into Reddit, and then you get to see.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
The truth.
And there was some other interesting ones, I think, around the MLS for rivalry week, but the LA ones too. Just it wasn't good.
I tell you what, who always brings it?
Portland.
Austin.
Oh, Austin. Yeah, Austin does. Austin for sure does.
Austin is ridiculous.
And Portland too.
Portland. That is, those two.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, they know what they're doing. They got a lot of creative people in both spaces. But Sam, my card of the week, you had to know it was coming here. Greg Vanney of the LA Galaxy gets an extension for the team that has not won a single game in the MLS this year. He gets his extension before the tie in their El Tráfico. But, I mean, what are we doing? I mean, I get it that he just come off of winning the MLS. And I get we like what Greg has to offer, and this year isn't it. But, the guy hasn't won a single game in the MLS. It's week after week, Sam. We've been highlighting the LA Galaxy in some form. So, I apologize to everyone for this. So, but my other part of this yellow card, because I'm going to bring it out here, is the fact that we have an extra transfer window for select teams for Club World Cup. Okay, well, Sam, tell me this. If before the season you said, all right, we're going to have this window and then teams are going to, okay, that's one thing. But we're going to wait until Inter Miami is losing 5 straight games and then say, oh, actually Messi needs some help. Let's go get this guy what he needs. That's ridiculous. The rules are all made up. What is it? Whose line is it anyway?
Yeah. Yeah. You just walk in, just make it up on the fly. Right.
I don't get it. Well,
it's every MLS season year after year, right? We're gonna put Inter Miami in the Champions Cup, right? Just because they won the Supporters Shield. It's last time I checked, that's not how that works. But
this benefits Seattle, right?
Yeah,
this might benefit LAFC, but
awesome.
Come on, I learned today in listening to Soccer Wise. Shout out to Soccer Wise, another really good podcast if you want to go listen to it for the MLS. That no Canadian teams qualified for
so they don't get
Club World Cup. So none of their teams get it. So this is
even I saw that even if every MLS team would have gotten it,
exactly,
no Canadian team would have.
That is exactly why no other MLS teams were eligible, possibly from what the MLS was thinking.
Come on, Canada.
U.S. Soccer decided that they would step in and say, we'll give it to these teams. I think it's absolutely trash. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, so it's June 1st through the 10th. Like Ryan said, this is, I think, by the time the secondary transfer window opens in July, most clubs will have played 24 games, leaving very minimal time, once again, for clubs like us to have time to make. So
tell me how adding a guy before the Club World Cup that starts in 12 days is going to make that big of a difference.
It's not.
Unless we're talking, huge names, which
unless we're talking LAFC makes the Club World Cup and they get Antoine Griezmann.
Yeah, but I think he's even said he's going back to Atleti, isn't he?
He should.
Yeah. So, I mean, like, if we're talking like a reinforcement in the back for whoever, like, can they really slot in that? I don't know. Again, not like what we're worried about here, but just the fact that
Ridiculous.
like we're just going to make up the rules here and give the advantage to these select teams. Like that just I don't understand it.
Nope.
On the other side, Sam, of what we were talking about here, we had an FC Cincinnati 2, a Heck is Plausible match. This was played at the old Crew Stadium. Unfortunately, lost 1-0. Tough fought match. But yeah, we're now last in the East for our next pro team after being first, the year before. A lot of chances, but couldn't convert them. Kind of cool here, and looking at the fact that Federico Higuain, a former Crew player, is now the third head coach, for their team, former legend, so I hope to see in the future, maybe one of our guys can step in and do something very similar. But yeah, it's unfortunate to see this team slide a little bit this year. There's a ton of new pieces and that's not always going to work out. They've had enough matches now where like you should be able to kind of bring it together a little bit more.
And the talent is there. Especially,
do these guys even understand the rivalry though? That's the question.
It doesn't. I don't think it really. I don't know if it trickles down. It probably doesn't trickle down because once again, it's Heck is Plausible, right? There's no, there's no hell over here, right? We're playing it safe. We've got kid gloves over here with FC Cincinnati too. Heck is Plausible, Ryan. But yeah, I think that it's taking a longer time than I'm sure they would have liked for Tyron Marshall for him to gel with the new team and everything. But yeah, as far as up top, you've got similar players. You've got Chirilla, you've got Mamba Dem, you've got guys that have been there. I know. I think we've got newer players in the midfield, so maybe that's the holdup as far as just the translation to get the ball up top, which we struggled with at the beginning of the season as well. But it's the reason why those guys are on the first team and the other guys aren't. So development
still trying to figure that out.
Still going on.
Some, but
yeah,
maybe it's all like club wide. We need to work on ball progression. Yeah, but FC Cincinnati 2 will play the Crown Legacy FC in their next league match. That'll be Sunday, May 25th. Go check that one out right before Memorial Day. Still need to make it to one of their matches here this season. I think it would be fun to still go out and support them. But I feel like I have faith they can at least make it a solid season. But how do we see, again, some of those guys translate this to the first team? That would be the question. What standout players do you want to start even seeing better performances out of like Chirilla and Mamba Dem and stuff? Like at what point, is that going to happen? We didn't even really talk about it much, but like how does the signing of Kai Kamara impact Stefan Chirilla? Like I think that to me shows like he had been on the bench early on in the year and still training with the club is my understanding, but he's not really going to see. Yeah. He's not going to see those minutes now in MLS, and that's kind of sad in some ways.
I mean, you could see Leagues Cup, right, as an opportunity for him to shine. Sure. How cool would that be, though, in a game? You got Kai Kamara with Stefan Chirilla up top.
That would be pretty sick.
That's pretty cool. If you're a kid, you probably don't understand because you were like idolizing Kamara when he was playing for the Crew those days. And Chirilla's probably like, this is just a 40-year-old guy that I'm playing with,
Well, I see after the Toronto match, he goes over and puts his arm around Dado, and I can only imagine like what he's telling Dado. Like I want to hear what he had to say.
I've got
maybe we'll ask Carter, at some point. But Sam, we see that, like you mentioned earlier on in the episode, Bino Wobodo signs an extension for FC Cincinnati. He's now under contract until 2027, club option 2028. The guy deserved it. He's been here already, I think, 4 seasons now. This is his 5th one. So he's had more appearances for FC Cincinnati than any other club in his professional career. He had, I think at some point 2 years ago, maybe he had his family that had moved over from Nigeria. So I think, they're permanent residents now in Cincinnati and sounds like very happy to be here. And we're very happy to have Obi, at whatever capacity that looks like in the future. Obi's been great for this team and honestly was the one that turned it around first before the Miazgas. I think he was the piece in the midfield that helped with that transition.
Yeah, absolutely. We had never had a six like him, to be able to shut down the midfield and help out our defense, because those early years, we all know that the defense was lackluster. It was terrible. And so, like you said, he was that building block piece to be able to put in front of your defense. And I think it is interesting when this news came out. I think a lot of people had mixed reviews, mixed feelings about it, because
we thought for a while Obi was going to be transferred.
Well, yeah, because he was sitting on a DP contract, right? And we got that down this offseason, and that's when you're looking at this extension and going, well, what did they agree on, right? Is he going to go back to a DP at some point, or is there what kind of money? Like how are we working this here for him to agree to the extension? So that's what it has yet to be, kind of broken news wise here, but. Yeah, I think Obi in 2023 led the MLS in tackles with 62, and his 92 appearances now, after this past Crew game, is fourth most of any FC Cincinnati player. So to your point, Ryan, I mean, he's been a mainstay, and he will continue to be till possibly 2028.
Yeah, no, it's awesome to see another player, under contract long term. It just shows kind of like almost like security that the club would have in some ways. Like I think early on, there's like a lot of questions of guys like outperforming or doing well and wanting to move on. Like a lot of these guys have found their home in this city. And I think that's really cool, especially guys like you mentioned that wore designated players. Like how does that look for an MLS side sustainably to be good and to maintain their players? If you look at Yuya Kubo, another one.
Yeah.
Who was a designated player who now is still with the club in a meaningful way, but willing to maybe make a little bit of a sacrifice in terms of contract, but happy with the position that he's in his life and to understand like, man, I got it good here, and the club
winning.
Treats me right. I'm in a good city. Like I'm a key, focal player. Like those are all the conversations you want to have in FIFA Manager, right? Where like you check in with the player and you ask them,
you make sure that there's no frowny faces.
That's right. You want to say all the right things, and we've been able to do that. I'm just very happy for him. Again, whatever that looks like moving forward, if that is more of a bench role, like even coming up in future years, like I think Obi is all in, for FC Cincinnati and what we have. But at least for now, like he showed his value in that first half, and so I think, we need Obi. And if he can even take his game to the next level now, like he did in 2023, that's going to be huge for us. So, Sam, you had it written in this agenda here to talk a little bit on the other side of things with the U.S. men's national team. I'm going to kind of break some news here that we found out today about this. U.S. men's national team announced their Gold Cup squad, preliminary squad, and one Miles Robinson had made that preliminary roster. So he is looking to make this appearance for the U.S. men's national team for, I think, the first time since last year. He did not make it earlier on in the season, whether that is because we were in CONCACAF Champions Cup, whatever you want to look at it. Like he's always been on the Pochettino radar, I think is the important thing. Unfortunately, if Miles makes the roster, this would time out where it would be about June 14th through July 6th. And that means probably a little bit of a few weeks ahead to train as well. So that's about 4+ games that we would be missing Miles, and why we hate the fact that there's international competitions going on during the MLS season. But props and shout out to him. He was our only player that we had. Brandon Vasquez, honorable shout out, former player as well. What are they going to be rocking, Sam, for the Gold Cup?
Yeah, they're going to be rocking these new U.S. men's national team heartbeat kits, which immediately, Ryan, you look at these kits and you go, man, these look really familiar. These look like FC Cincinnati's 2021 kits that resemble the lights outside TQL Stadium. But yeah, some people online, I thought this was really funny, that they said the kits were actually flat lines, as in the U.S. men's national team is dead, and a heartbeat would have angled lines.
It's kind of funny.
So I thought that was pretty funny, considering the state of the U.S. men's national team right now. Not a lot of positivity. However, we had two guys that unfortunately won the FA Cup against Man City this past weekend. So shout out to the U.S. men's national team, Turner and Richards on winning the FA Cup. So nice to see them get the hardware. I believe them and Tim Howard are the only U.S. men's national team players to win the FA Cup.
Yeah, good shout out there. Again, rocking the U.S. kit tonight. But nice to see them win. And if you look at in the Netherlands, Sam, we had a few guys with PSV that ended up winning the league there too. So hopefully they turn it around for a Gold Cup. Like I think they definitely have the talent to do so. Whether or not they do it is the question.
Got to put it together. Yeah.
I don't know, but if it comes down to Miles being added to that roster, I think we'll do a little bit more of a deep dive and kind of what that would look like for our roster, throughout the summer. We have a hard stretch, through the time that he would be potentially gone, playing, all away matches in June because of Club World Cup. So that would be a little bit interesting. But speaking on Miles Robinson's former team, Sam, match day 15, we're playing away at Atlanta United. We're going to be playing on turf for the first time in a little while. I think Charlotte was the last time. Yeah. So Atlanta is down bad. Hot Atlanta is down bad. Ooh. I don't want to jinx ourselves here, people, but they're 14th in the East right now. There was all of this hype about this team going into the season, and their front, four or whatever you want to call them. They haven't won a match since March 29th. Everyone go knock on wood when you hear this. But they played to a draw, a 2-2 draw last time that we played them on a rotated game where Kevin Denkey
and it should have been 2-1.
Should have been 2-1. We feel kind of like we lost out 2 points. But we got to go down and play in a pretty tough atmosphere in Atlanta. They just, again, have not been able to sustain a lot of good things through their midfield and their defense. So let's take advantage of that. But this will be the second MLS Sunday match for us, but we're going to be the marquee matchup this week. So shout out for us. Look at us on Memorial Day weekend, getting that primetime spot. I know MLS looking at the beginning of the season was like, all right, these
this is going to be a big
real
game.
Good.
Oh, yeah.
And then, Latte Lot hasn't lived up to it. Almiron hasn't lived up to it. Like they just, but we still got to go and play, Sam. We still got to go. And I think coming out of Hell is Real, the way that it goes about, feeling that you get a draw out of it, you're going on the road again. It's been 3, matches in a row now on the road. How can we learn from those and kick that into gear for Atlanta? I have some points I want to touch on about what to look for in this one, but I want to hear it from you. What are you thinking lineup-wise and how we're going to play this one?
Yeah, I mean, lineup-wise, I think the biggest thing here is continued, right, from this past week, and that's Denkey, right, with these yellow cards. Up front, what are you going to see? I mean, are you going to see another Santos Denkey, or is Denkey going to start? I would assume you start him, and if he gets a yellow, he gets a yellow. Like, it's one of those situations that you'd rather him, hopefully he gets a goal before he gets a yellow, or maybe 2 goals, right? But, yeah, I think there's the possibility that you see a Dotto start as well once again, because we've got we don't have 2 matches this week, right? So maybe it's a little bit more of a full squad rather than a half squad there, planning for a Saturday match or Sunday. Well, I guess a Sunday match, right?
Sunday, yeah.
I guess Sunday match, yeah. So yeah, I think it'll be fine in this game. I'm going to go 2-0 prediction on this one, Ryan, just because I think we continue. I think Roman honestly continues to play well. And I think Miazga, I want to say he'll play the full game. Hopefully, whatever I'm assuming it was just exhaustion, right? When he came off the game or came out of the game this past game. So that's what I'm hoping for. I'm hoping for a 2-0. Roman gets another clean sheet, maybe. But what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm a lot like you. I think that the game is going to play pretty quick on turf. It's a pretty large field down in Atlanta.
Ball skip.
Yeah, I think Orishano stays out wide, and they try to get a lot out of him. What Atlanta always tries to do is attack from the width. They play with attacking wingers, and if we're going to be good in this game, it's going to be because our wingbacks actually play a solid match. And I think that because of the way that their guys attack from the width, you're going to need some cover probably for Orishano for that counter press moment. So you're going to see Buka, you're going to probably see Obi cover a lot of ground in this one as well. But I think Denkey is going to play with a little bit of fire, knowing that he's playing the guy that overtook, the transfer fee record for the MLS in Latte Lock.
Should have been his.
He didn't get to play him in the first matchup. We didn't get to see that Denkey matchup.
He was on international duty, right?
He was, exactly. So yeah, I'm excited to see that. I think Denkey's going to just continue his run of form. I'm going to go with a 2-1 victory for FCC. Going with our 1-goal victories here. But yeah, go ahead, Sam.
Do we see Orishano score a goal before LA Galaxy wins?
It's still there. It's still an option.
It's still there. I believe Galaxy plays on Saturday, though, this time, Ryan. Yeah. So it's flipped from earlier weeks, right?
All right.
So I don't know.
This could be the week. I feel like
this could be the week.
I almost feel like it's going to be like a free kick goal is going to be his first one.
But Evander, though.
Yeah, I know. I just feel like if it's on the side where he's left-footed and it makes more sense.
Well, you saw
Evander. Always see bangers in Atlanta, like from outside the box.
That's true. At least one banger a year.
Like you go and you flip through highlights of other games, and it's like, oh, Atlanta, there's a guy that hit it from 50 yards out. Like,
yeah.
I don't know. That's just my thought on it. But Sam, do you think Miazga is going to be able to play longer? I think right now he's been averaging about 70, 75, or probably actually closer to about 70
I think he plays the whole game this game.
On turf?
Yeah. And I only say that because he wants to be out there against the top transfer record in the MLS, right? He wants to be the one on Latte Loth, right? He's got that dog mentality, right? Where he wants to go up against the best full 90, right? Now, he gave his all during the crew game, and you could really see that. Maybe he'll be a little more careful, like you said, on turf.
That's just my question to you. Yeah, I don't know if that
plays into it. At what point, right? He's got to play 90 at some point.
Yeah, I think that's coming up. I just don't know if it's this one because of that setting. That's my only thing. It just depends on where we're at in the match too.
I agree.
They have to yank him off. Like he was so upset. He was so upset to come off the match against the crew.
Well, he called himself off, but he was upset with himself. He was kind of like, hey, like I need a break. I just had this argument with Rossi over here, doing a little too small.
That was pretty funny.
That was hilarious. That was great. But yeah, I think it'll be a good week. You've got a good, decent crowd still in Atlanta, I think, right?
Been decent.
I mean, it's a big stadium, right? So it's always going to be a big crowd. But Ryan, first, before we go into the trivia, you got anything else for this matchup? Or
No, I think we covered it all.
All right. Well, so first, once again, wanted to shout out 100th episode next week. So be sure to look out for anything that we got going on either the rest of this week or into next week. We've got some big things planned. Hopefully they come to fruition for you guys because, we're really excited to put this stuff out. And
thanks for the support.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thanks for the support. 100%. And we'll have probably a bigger speech during the 100th podcast episode. But I'm sure you don't want to hear us just gog on about, oh my gosh, we love you guys so much. Like, thanks for the support. No. It's been great to honestly receive feedback. I think that's the biggest thing that you'll see from us this week is we're going to be looking for a lot of feedback from you guys for the next 100. So, Ryan, as we say that, let's go into the trivia question here. If you remember from earlier in the episode, Kevin Denkey became the 15th player in FC Cincinnati club history, MLS and USL, to score 10 goals for the club. I asked Ryan how many of those players were from the USL days, and can you name all of the USL players? Ryan, you had named 5 players, I believe. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to try and remember the 5 players that you said, but I will give you the 6 players from the USL days. Actually, 7. Sorry, 7 players. 7 players. That's on me. 7 players from USL days. Ledesma was the one that I forgot about, but it was Ledesma, Koenig, Bone, GB, Akoli, McLaughlin, Al-Badwi.
Dang, I was close.
Yeah.
I would love to see what you guys think about this and if you got it right, because that just shows your fandom. Because the OGs from the USL days, like they remember.
How far do your roots run?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I got 5 of 7 here, so I would love to hear
And
what you
and
guys got.
the other two, right? McLaughlin and Al-Badwi, those are more midfielders, honestly. So
shout out
pretty
to
solid
the
there.
mids.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, thanks again for joining us tonight. Again, we're excited to bring 100 to you guys next week. We got some fun stuff going on for that. So tune in. Thanks again. We'll see you guys next week.